She told me I was next in line if things didn't work out with her new guy, so I removed myself from her backup list forever. Now, after burning through 5 boyfriends in a month, she's begging for a chance that no longer exists that I met Claire through a mutual friend, the kind of introduction where everyone says, "You two would really get along," and you awkwardly smile because you're not sure what that even means. She was funny, sarcastic, and had this habit of making every conversation feel like it was a performance. Not in a bad way, just she always needed an audience. We started hanging out in a loose, casual way. Not dating, not hooking up, not even flirting consistently. Just meals, movie nights with friends, long group chats. We weren't a thing, but there was always this unspoken possibility, floating there like a bubble no one wanted to pop first. For months, she treated me like a backup singer in the soundtrack of her life. Nice enough to keep around, but never center stage. I didn't mind, honestly. I wasn't head over heels about her, but she was fun to be around. She made everything feel a bit unpredictable, and back then I mistook unpredictable for exciting, which is just emotional roulette with extra steps. Then she met Ryan. Tall, Instagram fit, obsessed with crypto and investor podcasts, the whole starter pack. Suddenly, she was posting stories with him every day, tagging him in sunset photos, calling him her new chapter. Our group noticed that she barely showed up anymore unless he was busy. I wasn't jealous. I'd already mentally filed her under interesting friend, maybe potential, but unstable. I just backed off and wished her well. 2 weeks in, she started trauma dumping in my DMs because Ryan wasn't texting back fast enough. Then he'd reply, and she'd drop our conversation mid-sentence like someone switching TV channels. It became a pattern. She wanted me when she felt insecure, until someone else made her feel important again. Honestly, I didn't take it personally. I just lowered my expectations. But one night she crossed a line so casually I almost laughed. We were out with a few friends at a bar. She was on her third cocktail, rambling about how Ryan was amazing but emotionally inconsistent, her favorite phrase that she used for literally any man who didn't respond within 10 minutes. Then she turned to me, tapped my arm, and said with a bright, tipsy smile, "If things don't work out with him, you're next in line." She said it like she was offering me a promotion, like I should be honored to be her back pocket boyfriend, waiting patiently for my turn. Everyone at the table went quiet. She didn't even notice. She actually winked at me, winked, like I'd appreciate being treated as her emotional understudy. I laughed once, softly, shook my head, and said nothing. But something shifted in me immediately. It was like a curtain lifted and I finally saw what she'd been doing all along, slotting me into the role of a safe option while chasing men who gave her an adrenaline spike. That night, I went home and genuinely thought about it. Was I really willing to be someone's plan B? Or C? Or Z? Nope. So I removed myself from the wait list, mentally, emotionally, socially. I stopped responding instantly. I didn't initiate plans. I didn't hover around waiting for her to break up with someone. Within a week, Ryan was gone. 2 days later, she popped up with a new guy on her story. Then another one. Then another. 5 guys in a month. It became a running joke in our friend group, though we tried not to be cruel. But her tone changed with me. First she was casual, then flirty, then frustrated, then almost desperate, because I wasn't orbiting her anymore. And that's when the calls and the long, "I miss our connection" messages started. She had run through her roster, and there was no one left. Now she wanted to circle back to me like I was a safe harbor after a storm she created herself. And that was only the beginning of the drama. Claire didn't reach out at first in an obvious way. It started with little things, the kinds of messages you'd almost miss if you weren't paying attention. A meme she knew I'd like. A TikTok about friends who get you better than any boyfriend. A random, "This reminded me of you" at 1 a.m. I kept things polite but distant. No flirting, no long conversations, no late-night emotional CPR. That alone seemed to confuse her. Then the tone shifted. She started showing up at group events again. Not with a guy this time. Just by herself, suddenly very present and very tuned into what I was doing. If I laughed with someone, she'd drift closer. If I talked to another girl, she'd insert herself into the conversation like someone claiming their reserved seat. The others noticed. Our friend Liam pulled me aside one night at a bonfire and whispered, "Dude, Claire's acting like she's trying to reel you back in. What happened between you two?" I shrugged. "Nothing. That's the point. It was weird watching her switch strategies in real time. When attention didn't work, she pivoted to vulnerability. She invited me for coffee as friends, then cried about her dating luck. She said she missed our closeness and felt so stupid for losing the one person who always cared. In the past, those lines would have hooked me, but I'd done enough self-reflection to recognize the pattern. She didn't want me. She wanted the stability I represented when her world got chaotic. Then came the night everything crystallized. We were at our friend Maddie's place for a movie night. Claire sat next to me on the couch, a little too close. Legs touching, head tilting toward me every time she laughed. I didn't move, but I didn't lean in either. Halfway through the movie, she whispered, "I've been thinking maybe things didn't work out before because I wasn't ready. But I am now. If you still feel anything." I cut her off gently. "Claire, you don't actually want me. You want someone who won't leave, someone who'll always be there. That used to be me. It's not anymore." Her face fell, and for a moment she looked genuinely hurt. Not angry, not manipulative, just lost. It made me soften a little, but not enough to change my stance. She whispered, "You were supposed to be next." I sighed. I was never supposed to be next. I was supposed to be first or nothing at all. She left early that night. I thought that would be the end of it, an awkward phase, a cooling off period. But I underestimated how badly Claire needed control over the narrative. When she couldn't pull me back in emotionally, she tried socially. She told people we were talking again. She hinted we had unfinished business. She acted territorial whenever another woman laughed at my jokes. The turning point came 2 weeks later at a birthday dinner. She walked in late, saw me chatting with a girl from work, immediately got this sour expression, and announced to the whole table, "So are you two together now? Or does he need 6 more months to think about it like he did with me?" The table went dead silent. I took a slow breath, because old me would have apologized or deflected. New me wasn't doing that anymore. "Claire, we were never together. There was nothing to think about. And please stop implying otherwise." She laughed in that brittle, fake way people do when they're embarrassed and trying to save face. Wow. Okay. Message received. But the damage was done, not to me, but to her image. People she thought were on her side suddenly weren't. Everyone saw the desperation she tried so hard to hide. And I think that moment broke something open inside her. The next morning, she sent me the longest message I've ever received from anyone in my life. A wall of text about regret and timing, and realizing too late that the person who truly cared was right there. I didn't respond, not out of cruelty, but because I'd finally accepted the truth. I wasn't her soulmate. I wasn't her backup. I wasn't her redemption arc. I was simply the one who refused to be part of her rotation anymore. And she didn't know what to do with that. Update that I honestly thought things would calm down after Claire's meltdown at the birthday dinner. She'd embarrassed herself in front of basically our entire friend group. I assumed she'd retreat, lick her wounds, maybe disappear for a while. That would have been the normal, dignity-preserving move. But Claire isn't wired for quiet exits. The very next week, the situation evolved into something I never expected. It started with the group chat. At 9:12 a.m. on a Tuesday, a time when normal adults are working, not manufacturing drama, Claire sent a message to our group. "I owe you all an apology. I've been going through a hard time and took it out on people who didn't deserve it." Okay, fine. Growth moment? Maybe. Except she followed it with, "And just to be transparent, things between me and OP aren't messy because of me. He actually led me on for months. I just reacted badly." I stared at my phone, blinking. Within 2 minutes, 5 people responded with some variation of, "That's not what happened." "Claire, no. You literally told him he was next in line." She left the group chat 5 minutes later. Then came the personal messages. First, it was long paragraphs about her mental health, childhood trauma, and how she acts out when she cares too much. I didn't reply. Then came the voice notes, crying, sniffing, breathing, starting sentences and not finishing them. They were so raw and scattered it felt almost intrusive to listen. I didn't reply to those either. Then she switched tactics. Suddenly my Instagram likes were from her. My old photos got comments. She posted stories that were basically neon signs saying I'm healing. Choose me now. Quotes like, "The right person will always return. The best love stories have heartbreak first." And my personal favorite, "If he didn't care, he wouldn't stay in my orbit." I wasn't staying in her orbit. She was practically orbiting my house. And then she actually showed up. I was coming home from work and found her sitting on the stairs by my apartment door, hoodie up, knees tucked in, looking exhausted. Not glamorous, not dramatic, just worn down. She stood when she saw me. "Can we talk?" Her voice was small, not manipulative, genuinely small. I hesitated, but motioned toward the outside bench. I wasn't letting her inside. She sat and immediately burst into tears. "I ruined everything. I pushed you away. I used you as a safety net, and now I don't have anyone left. I know I messed up. Just let me make it right." I let her talk. For 20 straight minutes, she poured out things I'd never heard from her. Loneliness, insecurity, how she always needed attention because silence made her feel unwanted. She said I made her feel safe, and she didn't realize she needed safety until it was gone. And I won't lie, it tugged at something in me. Not love, not desire, just empathy. Because underneath all her chaos was a scared person who didn't know how to be alone. But empathy isn't a reconciliation. When she finally paused, I said quietly, "Claire, you don't love me. You love how I made you feel." She shook her head violently. "No, I do. I swear I do." I stayed calm. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have put me next in line. You wouldn't have benched me, then expected me to be grateful for the chance to try again. You don't get to treat people like placeholders and then panic when the chair is empty." Her breathing hitched, and she whispered, "Just give me another chance. I won't screw it up this time." I responded the only way I could. "Claire, I'm not a consolation prize." She crumbled, full-on sobbing. I didn't touch her, didn't comfort her. Just sat nearby until she calmed enough to stand. Before leaving, she said, "You won't find someone who cares like I do." I didn't say it out loud, but the thought came immediately. "You're right. I'll find someone who cares better." She walked away slowly, without any theatrics this time. No anger, no sarcasm, just this hollow resignation. But the peace didn't last. That weekend, she tried to get the friend group back on her side. She invited everyone except me to brunch, then spent the entire meal crying about how cold I'd been and how she'd lost the man meant for her. It backfired spectacularly. 2 people left mid-meal. One told her she needed therapy. Another told her that she didn't lose me. She lost the idea of me. Someone sent me a screenshot of a message she'd sent afterward. "He'll come back. He always does. He just needs time to remember how much he misses me." I read it twice, then put my phone down. There was nothing left to romanticize, nothing left to fix, nothing left to hold on to. This wasn't heartbreak. This was freedom. But Claire wasn't done unraveling yet, and things reached their breaking point in a way I didn't expect. Final update, I honestly believe the situation had peaked, that Claire had exhausted all her dramatic reserves and would eventually retreat to rebuild her ego. But the truth is, people don't let go of their coping mechanisms until their world forces them to. And Claire's world was about to give her a shove. It started with the silence. Not my silence. I'd been silent for weeks. Her silence. The constant messages stopped. The late-night voice notes stopped. The strategic Instagram posts stopped. It wasn't peace. It was the ominous quiet before another storm. But this time the storm wasn't aimed at me. It was happening inside her. I heard about it from our friend Maddie. She called me one night, the kind of call you know immediately isn't a casual chat. "Hey, I need to tell you something. Claire's not doing well." Apparently, Claire had hit that emotional wall she'd been speeding toward for months. All the vulnerability, fear, and loneliness she'd been trying to outrun finally caught her. Hard. She'd been crying at work, oversleeping, showing up disheveled, ignoring messages, even from the people who still tried to help. None of this made me feel vindicated. Just sad. Because I never hated Claire. I just couldn't be what she wanted, or more accurately, what she believed she was entitled to. Then she showed up one last time. Not at my home. Not uninvited. She texted me first. "Can we talk?" One last conversation. No expectations. I took a full hour to think about it. Not out of spite. I just wanted to be sure I wasn't stepping into old patterns. Finally, I agreed, but only in a public place. We met at a quiet park near the river. She looked smaller than I remembered, not physically, but in presence. Like the sparkle she used to perform for people had dimmed. She sat beside me on a bench, arms wrapped around herself. And for the first time since I'd known her, she didn't attempt to charm or manipulate or flirt. She just looked tired. "I'm sorry," she said, voice low and rough. "Not the I want you back sorry. The real kind." I didn't say anything. I let her speak. I treated you like an option. I treated everyone like that, to be honest. When someone made me feel special, I chased them. When they didn't, I ran to the person who made me feel safe. And I called that love. She swallowed hard. And you were right. I don't know how to be alone. I don't know how to love without performing or competing. But I'm trying to learn. Then she did something that genuinely surprised me. She handed me her phone. I deleted our old messages. I deleted your photos. I unfollowed you. I'm not doing this again. I'm stepping back so you can breathe. I looked at the screen. She wasn't lying. It struck me that this wasn't manipulation. This wasn't theatrics. This was surrender. Not to me, but to reality. I nodded. Thank you for telling me the truth. She looked out at the water. Do you hate me? No. I just realized you and I weren't meant for each other. Not in the way you hoped, and not in the way I needed. She exhaled, slow and shaky. Yeah, I know. I just thought. I don't know what I thought. That you'd always be there. I gave a small, sad smile. That's the thing. I was. Until you made me next in line. She closed her eyes at that. Like the words physically hit her. After a long pause, she whispered, I'm going to therapy. For real. I already found someone, and I start next week. That was the first thing that made me genuinely hopeful for her. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We didn't promise friendship. We just stood, exchanged a final nod, a quiet understanding, and walked in opposite directions. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. It was just human. As for the friend group, things settled. People stopped whispering. The tension dissolved. Claire slowly reintegrated, but with boundaries this time. And surprisingly, she respected mine. No more hovering. No more mixed signals. No more trying to claim me in conversations. Just coexistence. And honestly, it's better this way. And me? This whole ordeal didn't make me bitter or closed off. It made me more aware, more intentional, more willing to walk away from situations where I'm being treated as a contingency plan rather than a choice. I'm seeing someone new now, someone consistent, grounded, emotionally mature. The kind of person who makes predictable feel comforting instead of boring. Claire knows. She didn't freak out, didn't spiral, didn't lash out. She just sent a short message. I'm happy for you. And for the first time ever, I believe she meant it. So no, I'm not giving her another chance. But I am giving myself one. A chance at something real, something mutual, something that doesn't require me to stand in line and hope for my turn. And that's the piece I didn't realize I needed.